Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to work on a Shimano. It's the Shimano Catala. It's a 400. It's got an odd grinding sound to it. It was sent in by Robert. Robert tells me the reel has been sitting on a shelf for quite some time, and he went to use it and noticed that that was an issue. I'm thinking that maybe, based on what I'm seeing in terms of condition, that this has something to do with just evaporated greases and oils. At least we can hope that, and hope that it's not something that's broken. But, well, we can check visually and see what's going on here. We'll service this reel. We'll show you how to take it apart, clean it, re-lubricate it, fix any issue that might be out there. And, well, if you have a Shimano Catala or even a Calcutta, the process that we're going to use here is going to be very similar. We're going to start by removing the exterior pieces and parts. And while I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when we are posting. And, well, you can make a decision as to whether that's a reel that you would like to see. I'm told from Robert this is a new reel. So it kind of looks that way. I don't see any evidence of use at all. And that would lead me more to suspect that the noise is from dried lubrication. I took the 4 shim washers that are on the stem between the star adjuster and the adjuster shim, and I put those into the star adjuster so that I don't lose them. Next up, we can remove the side plate and get our first look at what's going on inside. To do that, you remove the 2 exterior screws. And, well, everything is tight in here. And I think, based on what I'm seeing here, it just looks like everything is very, very dry. And, well, dry is going to cause that friction to make something like that happen. Well, how do you deal with that? Well, first thing up, I think we're just going to go ahead, oil that back bearing, which hasn't seen any oil in a while. And you can put a little bit of oil onto the gears that are going to drive the line guide. And then let's put this back in, see if just turning that by itself will create that friction. Well, now we've got a turn without friction. So that's always a good thing. And it's amazing what a little oil will do. I'd say clean the reel, but the reel is very clean. I don't think it has been used. And then we're going to oil that back, the top bearing. These are shielded bearings. They're not sealed, so you can put oil in there. And please use fishing oil when you do that. And the next thing up now, let's take the gear side apart and see what's going on. You can tell from the evidence on the inside here that these gears are new. They haven't been used. So he was absolutely correct with that. Well, I'm always curious about this. I think this is a case of a kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo sort of thing. Let's start with the 2 screws. That would look like they're going to represent the screws that are going to hold the side case in. I know that when I do this, one of these always has the bump for the anti-reverse dog. And if I guess right, I can probably avoid taking that one off. I guessed right. I think I guessed right. I took the 2 screws there. And yes, you can remove the side plate now. Get a look on the inside. That's where one of the screws goes. I knew the 2 other screws went below here on the bridge plate. I'm going to remove the spacer that goes on the gear sleeve. And I'm going to use a little bit of penetrating oil to clean up the dried grease. So Robert was right. This is a case where the reel is dried grease. And interestingly enough, you can look in here and see that that is a plastic bushing, not a bearing on the inside here. And what you want to do on your anti-reverse is clean it. And I guess we should start by saying use a clean towel to clean it. That one has some old debris on it. But this is a friction-driven anti-reverse clutch. So you want to make sure when you do this that it is free of grease. This is a typical setup for the inside of the Shimano reels of that era, including the Calcutta. The first thing I like to do is take those two springs off. And then once you have the two springs off, you can normally get the main gear off. Remove your yoke and pinion gear. I'll put that into my parts tray. This is your secondary anti-reverse, and this is the gear sleeve, or the click ratchet for that, so let's take that off. And this appears to have a bushing, well, it has a bearing on the shaft. Okay, you can remove that if it's wobbly and you want to replace, otherwise just put a seam of oil in there. The other place you want to oil is this trip lever here. That's what's going to move your case trip lever upside here into the lever and allow it into that click ratchet and allow that to you want to oil the internals, the slide here for the trip ratchet. You want to oil the groove here for the lever that comes down, and if you want, you can try and get a little bit of oil under there. You do not need to remove the assembly that's going to trip as part of the basic service. This is your ratchet. It's going to hold your anti-reverse dog. That might have been what's making the noise. We heard the noise. And one of the ears on this anti-reverse dog is kind of clicked over here. I don't know why that would have occurred, but clearly want to take that and move that back the right way. It could be that that was a cause of the noise. And that's the way that the old style dogs should look. They shouldn't be closed completely, but there should be an ability to have some tension on that. You can reinstall that by setting it onto the click ratchet like that, bringing it over, and then nesting it on this post. There's two things you want to do with this. You want to make sure that your rectangle is on the gear sleeve or gear stem. So I could drop that down just a little bit too early. And you want to make sure that your anti-reverse dog is on that post. And then you'll see how this works. When you're cranking, it's fine, and when you go to back off, it pulls in to set that dog and stop that progression there. Okay, come over to our yoke and our pinion gear, and you can see it's totally evaporated. Whatever greases were on here from the factory, whatever it sat in there for however long it did, those are long gone. So take a moment. Normally I will tell you to inspect the teeth on this, but there doesn't appear to have been ever have been any use, so we're going to just go with new on that. Find the side of the yoke that has the ramps on it, that faces inward. So does the slotted section of the pinion gear, and both of those come over the two studs and nest inside just like that. There's a washer that's on the back of the main gear. Take it off and make sure that that's clean back there. These are all part of the drag system, so if you have dirt and the like, it will compromise the performance. Once you do that, you can bring the washers from the center section out. This is a good view into what Shimano's washers are, and there's a little bit of grease on this, so I'm just going to use some fishing reel grease. You can use dry grease, you can use fishing reel grease. There's not that much of a difference to it. And this is a traditional 6 drag washer set. So you'll have a drag washer which is different as the number 1. You're going to have a keyed washer which is different, which is the top washer, because it's going to accommodate the studs here. So the first round or keyed washer, one with the rectangular in the center, goes in next. Again, we can put a light coating of grease. If you put too much on there, wipe it off. If you don't wipe it off, it's just gonna weep out there and collect dirt and debris. It's not really going to help at all in terms of the drag performance. And I'm going to take it at this point in time and mount that over. Then we'll do the last of the washers. I'm using my glove as the tool here to spread that grease. The one with the extra tags on it goes next. Then your spacer goes on. That'll fit inside your anti-reverse. Before we leave that, we want to get a nice coating of grease onto the main gear, just like we did with the pinion gear. And then all we have to do is put a couple of springs back together. Close this one up. So those 2 springs that I used for the yoke, they go right back on those flat posts. Okay, before I close this reel up, there's one more piece. It's this little tension washer here. It's actually a little retaining ring for the spring that is the spring that controls that arm, the chip lever arm. I'm going to put that on. And with that cap installed there, we can just finish up. There's 2 more springs that go up top. Make sure your pinion gear is set properly. A spring on each side. And take your spacer studs down to make sure that they're nice and flush onto the main gear. And we can close the outer case up. Aim your 2 holes for the 2 holes that are there. Get that nice snap. And grab your 2 screws from the parts tray there, and let's put those in. Those of you that watch these videos know me and small screws don't play well together. See how we do. This one's an easier one than the other one is because of that thumb screw there, but I trust all will be well. That's the one. The one that gives me the trouble. And we lucked out today. Okay, inside our star adjuster we have the 4 beveled washers. Take those out. Now they have a bevel to them. I put the bevel side up on the first, down on the second, repeat, up on the third, down on the fourth. And we can take our star adjuster and place that on. If it's not spinning easily when it's going on, stop. You may be cross-threading it. Okay, there's a tension washer that goes between the star adjuster and the handle, our handle, and our handle nut. Again, same thing, make sure that you're going on nice and square and even. If you're not, you may be cross-threading it. And cross-threading it will break the nut or it will damage the threads on the post. Just take your time. Sometimes they are particularly finicky. This one seems to want to prove that to me. go. Hand tighten it to make sure you got it right, and then tighten it down. If you line this up perpendicular to the hole, or if one of these points is pointing at the hole, generally your tie down cap for your nut lock will sit flush with the hole, which is what this is doing. And then you can tighten down that hole. Screw in. Last thing you want to do before you install is to pull down on the trip lever, just like that. To install now, bring up the free spool release, and we can place that in. Make sure you have a nice tight seal around the external face. If the frame and the face of your gear assembly is not flush, and if there's gapping in there, you need to recheck your assembly. Something is not sitting correctly. Oftentimes it will be that lever that controls the free spool wasn't working properly. All right, this should trip back now when we go to do that. Let's give this a test. Go in the free spool, make sure that the spool is turning nice and free and easy. It is. Make sure that it returns nice and tight. Check your drags. Tighten down on your drag. Once you know that it is holding, back it off. You don't want to compress the drags in storage. Okay, that's it. That is your Shimano Catala 400. It's a beautiful fishing reel. This one hasn't been used, but it's ready to go get its use now. I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment to thank our police, fire, safety, rescue, and all of the folks that work in public safety with us in mind. I also want to wish you a great day, whether you're on the water, in your shop, or just thinking about going fishing. Have a great day and stay well. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.